Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fake Philosophers. As always, I'm Mike, and today with me is the Mitch.
Hello, I am the Mitch. Thank you for coming back.
ITL award-winning actor Mitch is with me today.
So that episode hasn't come out yet, and I'm waiting for all the flack to come. At the time of recording this, I don't know, it's very timeline meta comment to make. Sorry about that, but yeah, I'm waiting for the comments. It'll be pretty fun.
Waiting to see what happens.
Yeah.
Do the people on that actually watch?
I might be assuming way too much about our audience. I can't wait for those dozen of people to listen to that and write me hate mail.
I understand what's going on, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well today, so in a group chat that we were having, the song Bohemian Rhapsody came up.
Yeah.
And I believe it's Eddie brought it up as in a complimentary way. And I simply said, I don't like that song. And it...
I responded hostile
with hostility.
Thank you. With hostility to that.
To me.
To you.
Yes.
Yeah. And because it's my my programmed reaction is that, everyone loves that song. You're not allowed to not like that song. Like the Beatles. You're not allowed to not like the Beatles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it kind of brought up the idea of the topic of works of art, music, cinema, film, anything that's very well liked, and even you objectively agree that they're great pieces of work, but you just can't fucking stand them.
So just by pure coming up with an example, I threw out the Beatles. I do not like the Beatles, so this might be a great...
Sure, and we can talk about that. Quick note first, as some of you, our vast audience might know, we've had camera issues the last few episodes, and so now we're resorting to just simply using a webcam, and it's with the smudge. The infamous smudge. But we'll just have to work through that.
We're going to work through it.
I think
we're going to
fine.
get this figured out. Fake Philosophers wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
Mike, go.
Yes.
Continue.
So Bohemian Rhapsody was the example for me
Right.
of objectively, I can break that song down, listen to it, the changes of tone, the changes of rhythm, and I think it's a fantastic work of art. To touch on it before we started recording, you said that your dad didn't like, or he didn't dislike the song, but he thinks it was overrated, that Wayne's World made it what it is today.
Yeah, my dad, who's ancient, was around when the song came out, was a fan. And he, to my memory, I might be misquoting him, but he always said, yeah, it was a fine song. Everyone kind of liked it. And it wasn't until Wayne's World came out with the classic scene of them listening to it in their car, and the one guitar riff enters, and they all start banging their heads, and then he says, because of that movie, it continued being famous more than it probably should have. But
and I think there's actually a point to be made there. The reason why I don't like it, which I alluded to before we started recording, is simply doing theater throughout the years.
You were in theater?
Has that ever come up?
Yeah.
Have you been to London?
Not yet. No. I'm pretty excited though.
But no, and so the reasoning is, and I know if any sort of, you talked with the ITLs, if any of my theater friends over the years listen to this, I don't think they're going to get triggered. They're going to be like, wow, Mike's kind of an asshole.
Which, if you haven't come to that conclusion yet, that's on you.
It's been time coming.
That's on you.
So, just a quick recap. I did my senior year in high school, my last semester, is when I started doing theater.
At Etiwanda?
Etiwanda High School.
Nice.
And then I really didn't do anything until about a year later at Chaffey College, community college. I did a ton of shit there. And
not bragging.
No big deal. No big deal. You can call me the George Clooney of Chaffey College. To this day, they study my work. They study my work as Mercutio in 2007's Romeo and Juliet.
I swear to God, when I graduated high school, that was me, because I was like, okay, surprise, when you're a tall, mature-looking white straight man and you decide to go into theater, you're gonna do pretty well.
Yeah,
because it turns out
there's
a lot of roles written for dudes and not a lot of dudes in theater. So
yeah,
surprise, I was in every show during high school.
Back to back.
Yeah, back to back.
And I have a feeling if I started earlier, I would have had the same luck.
Okay, so me coming out of high school, I was like, I'm the man.
This is the
it's
shit.
Fine. And you know what? I don't need to say it because it's on the wall. Those are me on all the. That's fine. So it's amazing. It's a great high. I really peaked.
Same. That 19 to 21 was just
a great time. It was a great time.
But yeah, so and then I did a ton of at Chafee and then community theater where we all met, and then I went to UNLV and did some there, and then upon coming back to California, I did a little bit of theater. So there's like in that time range 4 or 5 different theater communities, if you will. And every single one of those theater communities, they had one thing in common. Not a few things in common, but one big thing. That when Bohemian Rhapsody came on, they would go apeshit. No matter where we are.
Yeah.
In the middle of a grocery store, they start breaking out in song and dance, like doing dance routines in the aisles. We could be at Denny's and it comes on. Anywhere. It came up in conversation because Eddie said that, so our professor at Chafee would sometimes play Bohemian Rhapsody to do like a warm-up to. And everyone would go apeshit. And that's how Eddie brought up the song. And that's why I was like, I fucking hate that song. And it's a great song. It's so irritating to me. And there's other examples of this in other songs. I'm glancing at what you're trying to bring up.
Yeah, this was a meme. This is a meme. That
white people.
Songs that never fail to make white people.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
So, but it literally like, because I am, and this is not me just getting old. I've always been like, even in high school, I had some friends who were like super into hip hop, and we'd be driving, and they just blast their bass, turn it up, and I'm like, how are you even enjoying this song when it's just?
Yeah. I'm
like, fuck, and so I've always just like enjoyed listening and enjoying music. When I used to go to raves, that's a different thing because that's a different thing. And so it always irritated me no matter where we were. That song would come on and everyone would just start dancing and singing and running around and jumping. And I'm just like, we're in Walmart. Like,
I want to hear the rave remix of Bohemian Rhapsody.
That I'd be interested in.
That'd be pretty
like
good.
A techno remix?
Because it already is kind of a remix.
Sort of.
Like on its own, it's its own kind of.
Because it changes key.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it just, throughout the years, the last decade or so, every time that song would come on, because it's Pavlovian where it would program me that every time it would come on, everyone around me would be immediately irritating.
Yeah.
And so
I don't know about you, but in one of the, I love theater. I love doing theater, but my biggest deterrent of theater is hanging out too much with theater people.
Yeah, because they're a bit much.
So when you get something that triggers you back to the good times, it's kind of like,
Well, even at the time, so this all started when I was like obviously like 17. Because even in high school, this shit was happening, and
I think the song was around,
but way before that.
I think it came out around that time.
But for me, my journey.
Gotcha.
So I'm 34 now. So that's do the math. 17 years.
Wow.
17 years I've not liked this song.
Shit.
And right, and but it's not like just later on it was a trigger. Like even at the time, I'm like, I really am starting to hate this song because every time it came on, I'm like, it's almost. I actually was joking around with my partner at the bar when I hear like the sound of glass breaking, because in context, we had frozen our own ice in a freezer just so we had backup.
Nice.
The way that ice froze, though, when you re-broke it to use it, it sounded like glass breaking, like identical. And so every time like we would use it and we would like hit it, and I would get like, whoa, because in my head, glass is breaking. Pavlovian response.
Yeah.
Are you okay? Did you cut yourself? Etc.
Yeah.
And so when Bohemian Rhapsody comes on, I'm immediately like, I just get irritated. Like the Office episode where he fucks with Dwight.
With the Altoids,
Yeah. And he's like, my breath. When Bohemian Rhapsody comes on, I just get irritated.
Yeah. So I feel like there's different discussions to be had about great pieces of art that are, your opinions being contrary to pieces of art. Like Bohemian Rhapsody for you is like so overplayed, you just can't stand it anymore. It's a great song.
I don't think it's even overplayed necessarily. It's just my experience with it. I think on a previous, were you here or was it when we were talking about Elf?
I don't think so.
No, I think it was you because we're talking about movie theater etiquette.
Oh, okay.
And I said how Elf.
I blacked out that night.
Sure. We were talking about how Elf is a great movie, but my experience with it when I saw it in theaters was so bad. There was like a woman laughing behind me, like in a high pitch.
Okay, yeah.
And there was like babies crying that were like, when I watched that movie, I'm just like, fuck, because I remember the first time I watched it.
Okay, so yeah, okay.
Where it's a great movie.
Yeah.
And so I don't even think Bohemian Rhapsody is overplayed. Just when it is played, my sensory memory to it is that everyone around me is going to be immediately irritating.
Okay, see, my opinion of Bohemian Rhapsody is that it's overplayed. And
That's your opinion.
Also, hilarious moment. If you ever want to have the most fun at a karaoke event, have someone sing Bohemian Rhapsody, because it'll do two things. One, it'll teach you how you're just a terrible singer. Mm-hmm. Two, it'll teach you how much of an amazing singer Freddie Mercury was.
Yeah. That's like the regular person trying to compete in the Olympics.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I've 2 separate times I know for a fact that I was at a karaoke event with friends, and we tried to do Bohemian Rhapsody, and it was terrible, off key, all over the place. We were cracking up at how bad we could, and these were other theater musically trained people.
Sure,
couldn't hit the notes, and we were laughing at how bad I wasn't trained, but they were trained, and they were laughing at how bad they were. It was amazing. So, yeah. But there's a few things out there. Bohemian Rhapsody was what I was talking about earlier.
Yes, let's look at that.
It was a meme that came out years ago, like 10 years ago maybe, and it's just can't see shit. That's fine. We'll impose it later. We'll
put it up.
No,
ready? It's right here.
Nice. Oh yeah. Okay. So songs that never fail to make white people beyond turnt. Turnt was a term back in the early 2010s, but it meant excited, crazy. Forgetting the rules.
Crunked.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Crunked was, I think, a little bit before that.
That's I'm translating to our older audience.
Gotcha. Okay. Ill before that, I think.
Ill, yeah. Tight. No, tight just meant cool. Because turnt was like high energy.
Yeah,
cool was just like you're cool.
So songs that never failed to make white people turn. Bohemian Rhapsody was number 2 on this list.
What's number 1?
But Don't Stop Believing was number 1 by Journey.
See, I don't mind that song.
Oh, I don't either.
Because when that song comes on, people don't lose their fucking mind. Like they get turnt, but they don't start singing and dancing in the aisles of Walmart.
No, they get in their feels.
They're just in
their space.
Like they're like, they make you feel. But
a lot of these are Queen. It's amazing. But I was going to say about theater and Bohemian Rhapsody. My high school, they had a tradition before. I think it was every show. It was definitely before every opening night, but it might have been before every show. They put Bohemian Rhapsody on, and they kind of they would just be in the green room, kind of vibing. The whole cast would listen to Bohemian Rhapsody and either sing to it. Again, it's theater people with Bohemian Rhapsody, so I don't think you could be in theater without.
But it makes sense because it's a very theatrical song in nature. Like if you actually break down that song, that could easily just be a musical theater piece.
Yeah.
The way it changes rhythm, the kind of story in it, I get it. But so if my experience with Bohemian Rhapsody was literally, and this is. Well, I haven't done theater in years, but 17 years of just hearing that before a show to get amped.
Yeah.
I'd probably be fine with it.
Okay.
My problem wasn't in the green room listening to it. My problem was anywhere else. Anywhere else.
They'd get turned.
They would get turned. And I'm not even lying. In grocery stores, at Denny's, places where I literally was in Denny's after a show one day. And they got up and started doing their fucking musical theater dancing in the aisles.
Way to break the high school theater stereotype, right? I mean,
yeah, and these were college students. It wasn't even high school.
It's like there's I think it was who was it? There was some comedian that says something like, "You ever see somebody?" Oh, it was Matt Stone of South Park, saying when he sees somebody fulfill a stereotype so obviously it pisses him off.
Yeah.
Matt Stone is of Jewish descent, and when he says he meets other Jewish people and they are playing the stereotype, he gets mad. And he's like, "You're bringing us all down by being such a stereotype. Don't you understand?"
I agree with that.
So in that sense, I dare everyone listening, and I dare you, Mike, to find a theater person that doesn't somehow have a relationship with Bohemian Rhapsody and recalls them back to, oh yeah, before a show, I always listen to it. But when you're describing these people freaking out and it's such a theater person thing, and you're
and I think that might even be why I hate it more because of that reason.
Yeah,
it's the same thing when I hear
you always do this laugh and kind of do when you're about to say something controversial.
When you see a white person, you're like, "Hey, what you said was kind of racist." And they're like, "Oh, wait a second, I don't see color." I'm like, okay, you're bringing us all down.
Yeah,
you're not that. No, you're right though. The theater thing specifically.
Yeah,
I completely understand with Matt Stone's thing because especially because I think I've said. It might have been in one of the pre-seasons episodes that we haven't aired yet, where I said I've always felt like an actor who hates other actors.
Yeah.
Where it's I'm like, fucking theater people. and then someone else is like, hey man, you understand you've done theater for just as long as I have. And I'm like,
oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're like guilty by it now.
It's like whatever the theater version of white guilt is.
Yeah.
You know, the white people that are just so ashamed of themselves for being white. Yeah, that's us in theater. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry.
I'm like fucking theater people, and they're like, you're in the play with us. I'm like,
maybe save that for after the show. Like,
yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right.
Mike, we're in cast circle right now. Why?
You should vent to your other group of
maybe go
friends.
to somewhere else. Wrong group, dude. Wrong voice. Wrong group chat.
It was supposed to be. Sorry, but yeah. So anyway,
there's some
what
good
else
ones
is
on it. Living on a Prayer. Come on, Eileen, Sweet Caroline. That's East Coast.
See these ones too. A lot of these ones. Come on, Eileen, not so much, but definitely Sweet Caroline.
Pretty much all of Bon Jovi and Queen.
Yeah. See, a lot of those are bar singing songs, which, especially being in a bar as long as I have, sometimes I'm just like, oh, here it goes. But like, I don't get triggered by it
Gotcha. Okay.
because it's like they're singing it when they're partying.
One of these on here is 500 Miles.
Yeah.
The song is going to be 500 Miles. I'm going to be. It's the by the
I would
Proclaimers.
walk from that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So at my wedding, the wedding walking in, we decided not to have the groomsmen come down with the bridesmaids. It was just the bridesmaids followed by.
Yeah, I've seen that a few times.
Yeah. They walked into a string quartet version of 500 Miles. So
That's
if you're
kinda cool.
listening to it, you're like, oh, that's 500 Miles, sweet. And then when we said I do and we kissed and we left, it was the actual version.
Okay,
of 500 Miles. It was really cool, and we got turned. We love that song.
So churned. So churned.
Mr. Brightside, Never Gonna Give You Up. Eye of the Tiger. We Will Rock You.
See, I'm okay with most of these because like
They're good. Well, we're white.
we are white, but the thing is like
Piano Man.
Piano Man's good. See, the thing is, so a lot of these songs, and I kind of repeating myself. If you're in a bar atmosphere and it comes on the jukebox or someone's karaokeing it, of course you're gonna sing it. But if someone started like blaring out Piano Man while I'm driving and they're in the passenger seat, I'm gonna be like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like we're listening to the radio. We're not partying.
There's some songs that, especially on karaoke nights, like if you don't hear, you kind of wonder if everyone's okay.
Yeah.
You know. Do you have a karaoke go-to? Like you're gonna do karaoke. You're gonna go up.
Like you have to go up.
You have to go up. What are you gonna do?
Well, I know yours.
It's not mine anymore.
Oh, it's not.
Now that it's mainstream, it's dumb.
There's a lot of people doing it now.
It's dumb.
He used to do tequila.
I did tequila. To be fair, I did copy the idea. So it
did you? Oh, I was gonna say I saw you do it before I saw it go. Like
yeah. Before America's Got Talent, I was doing it. That was my thing. But I stole it from a friend who told a story about another friend who saw it at a bar, and I was like, "That's awesome! I want to try that." And yeah,
I think historically, when I've been karaokeing, which I'm not someone who goes karaokeing. If I go somewhere and they happen to have karaoke, we'll see. But I don't like go somewhere to karaoke.
No, yeah, me neither.
Historically, I've done You've Lost That Love and Feeling with Danny.
Nice.
We've done that on numerous occasions. But it's solo. I know there's something I was saying solo. I've done I Want to Be Sedated.
Nice.
Ramones. Because it doesn't really take that much vocal range.
And it's a good favorite.
And everyone likes it.
You don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, but really the singing ability in that is very minimal.
Yeah.
All you have to know is that at somewhere in the middle, you change key.
Yeah.
And that's it.
My go-to is Come Sail Away by Styx.
Okay.
Yeah. I love that song. I love it. It's that or Heat of the Moment by Asia.
Heat of the Moment? Okay.
Yeah. Is it Asia? Oh, shit. No, I think it's Asia. Oh, my God. Some fan I am. Anyway, I love 80s, like karaoke 80s songs, man.
Yeah.
It's always like everyone loves doing the pop, hits charts or whatever. But if you hit them with an 80s song.
I can do Rat Pack stuff.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because
a little Sinatra?
Little Sinatra, little Dean.
Yeah.
Ain't That a Kick in the Head? I could do that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
And
I'd pay to see that.
Yeah, same thing. Like it's not they're enjoyable songs, everyone knows them, but really the vocal talent you don't need. Like really, if you really think about it, I'm not disrespecting Frank or Dean or any of those guys.
We're coming back to our main point here.
but they weren't the most phenomenal of singers.
Of course not. No, and everyone knew that.
Yeah, they're what? They're there's a term for it, and I'm blanking on it.
No, but they weren't like their talent wasn't so beyond like Freddie Mercury, whose talent was so amazing.
Their strength was their charisma.
Exactly. Their character, what they brought, their kind of whole theme there. Yeah. Like the Ramones. No one praised them because of their amazing singing ability. It was their whole vibe. That was, they wanted to be sedated. So
exactly.
But so what other things that everyone loves that I don't really like? I don't like the Beatles. I'm sorry. There's that classic trope of everyone is either a Elvis fan or a Beatles fan, and I do appreciate that. The bridge in rock and roll, you're either on the hippie side or you're on the rebel, bluesy side.
Sure.
Folky, whatever.
Well, so my point. So when you say the Beatles, you don't like the Beatles.
I do not like the Beatles.
Is that you recognize that they're good? You just don't like it?
I recognize they were a product that sold very well. So my business side.
Hold on. What I'm saying is, do you think they make good music? It's just not your thing, or you think they're not good?
I think they make good music. That's just not my thing.
Okay, because that's where Bohemian Rhapsody. I think it's an amazing song.
Yeah.
Just I can't stand it because of my experience.
Yeah, I can get into them because I like a lot of music that's just terrible, and like
sure.
music that's just not good, and like any art or music major is just going to cringe while they listen to it.
Yeah.
But the Beatles, they were on key.
They were on key.
Their lyrics usually made sense, and they were great chord progressions and whatnot, and they knew their audience and they sold to it. The same way, that NSYNC did. They just knew their audience. They made product for their audience, and they made $1 bazillion.
And they sang in key.
So
well, and that's I think it's a fair argument to say that it's always that kid in his garage who's like, it's just pop music. It's not real music. To where like the Beatles were that thing. Like it's not that they're bad. It's just that they were popular.
Right.
They did what was popular to sell albums and
I will admit, initially that is what they were, and then as they got older and they did more albums, they had more of their own thing. And
sure.
Excuse me, I'm gassy. I keep leaning away. Sorry, I'm burping.
ITL award winner, Mitch.
I don't hold back, man. When you get Mitch, you get Mitch, not your stage presence. That's just a good way to say I'm a bad actor.
I guess. That was a good one.
No, but yeah, the California trope. No, but yeah, the Beatles, they made a fine product, and they got more artsy as they went on, but I just don't like them. So
that's fine.
Sorry.
That's fine. It's one of those things where like you brought up NSYNC, and I think it's a fair point. It's okay not to like NSYNC, but to say those guys couldn't sing.
Yeah.
It's like saying like, okay, so he's a Laker now, but like I was not a fan of LeBron for years. I could not in good faith say bad basketball player.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Fuck Tom Brady. I hate it anytime he wins, but I can't sit and be like, Tom Brady sucks.
I'm conflicted. Tom Brady is seriously the best football. Like
I can't say that. I can't.
He's so good, and it pisses me off every time I watch him play because I'm like, God damn it, he's just good.
That's what I mean, because like I don't like him for sports politics reasons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like,
or fan politics,
or that. Yeah, you get my point. But you cannot say in good faith or in an honest opinion saying like Tom Brady sucks.
No, you can't.
You can't. It's like when people were mad like Kobe Bryant sucks. It's like no,
he wasn't. He's really one of the best ever.
Yeah,
ever,
you're factually incorrect.
Yes, you're factually wrong. Yeah,
and so
that's why Bohemian Rhapsody sucks. No, it doesn't. But
I'm like, it's a great song. Yeah. Don't fucking play it in my house. That would be the if. No, I'm not gonna say. I'm gonna say it out loud. So when I flip out,
yeah.
If anyone ever pranked me in that way, to where if like I had people over and someone slipped in that song and everyone just went ape shit and started dancing around the house,
nice, yeah.
I'd fucking burn it to the ground. So let it be.
You would love it if someone put that much commitment into pranking you. I
would respect the prank.
Exactly.
And I would respect the fact.
You cannot confidently say that this prank sucks.
I wouldn't say it. I would think like this sucks. Yes, for me, great prank, but I would burn the house to the ground metaphorically. My woman would be very upset if I literally burned it to the ground. I would probably walk outside.
Wow.
And let everyone finish their dance.
I'm trying to think of stuff that I hate that passionately that would get me.
And that's what the problem is though. It's like not even like a real like hate like fuck that person. It's just like
which is far more common. Like
well no like
if someone showed up and you're going to burn the house down.
If they stepped in my house. Well no like I said it's a great fucking song. And when I hear it, it's not like I'm like, god damn it, and start throwing things, but like it is that Pavlovian response of like, I immediately start going, who's going to irritate me right now?
No, I get it. It's like, okay, I'm sure the country of Vietnam is a beautiful, like, fine place, and the people is fine. But if you take the wrong guy and mention Vietnam, he's going to take, he's going to go to a dark place. Mm-hmm. You're like a Vietnam vet.
You said it.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just trying to be brave.
But I think you're dealing with more emotional shit.
Of course. I've been through more.
That reminds me when back in high school, my friends and I did airsoft. Mm-hmm. And that was like a common joke. It was like, we're playing airsoft. It's like real war, only there's more at stake. And that was kind of a common joke we'd have.
Our personal pride.
Yeah. Anyway. Trying to think what else because then there's stuff that I hate that everyone loves, but it's legitimately shitty.
And I think that's different, though. That's what I was trying
absolutely.
to say. It's different because I do acknowledge that Bohemian Rhapsody is a great song.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, is there stuff that you love that people that is just not good?
Well, we can go down that trip.
I mean, there's like movies. Like I love the Fast and Furious movies. They're terrible movies.
Well,
I love them.
But I feel like everyone feels that way.
Yeah.
Where you're like, if you talk to most people, they're like, well, Fast and the Furious isn't that great story wise. They're like, well, yeah, of course, but we're not here for great stories. We're here for car porn.
Yeah.
But I was going to say one movie that everybody likes, and I actually like it, except, in my opinion, the poop in the salad at the end. Interstellar.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think it's a very great movie. I'm assuming you've seen it. Mm-hmm. Very great movie. Very just wonderful sci-fi movie. I never even the one scene where like they're talking about how if they go to that planet, the gravity's so strong that they're only gonna for every hour they experience like 7 years passes.
Right.
Like that just you never think about that in sci-fi. Like
so
that was
good.
It really crossed over. And
that's right. Spoiler alert, people. By the way,
you had time. But then like when they come back and the one guy has like aged for like was it, like 30 years or something.
Yeah.
Like that. A lot of that stuff. Like I was like, this is really fucking heavy.
And then you find out that he was dead the whole time. And
well, yeah, but it just suddenly becomes a fantasy movie where it's the love of his daughter or whatever it was like was so strong that it forced him back in time to give her the clues. And I was like, this was a sci-fi movie that was super good. And all of a sudden, the mystery people sent him back in time to his daughter.
It got a little Fifth Element on
it. It became fantasy.
Right.
When it was super heavy sci-fi, especially like when Matt Damon popped in and his character you found out is a piece of shit. Yeah. Like there was a lot of good heavy stuff in that movie.
He was in that.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and rewatch it. I remember really enjoying. No, actually, the first time I ever watched it, I fell asleep. I was really tired. It was not blaming the movie. It was just a bad circumstances.
It happens.
And so I went back and rewatched it, and I was like, holy shit, this is really good. So I'll have to go back and look at it through Glenn Euland's.
Well, no, and I still think it's one of those things. It is a great movie. And most of the people I've talked to about that thing at the end are all against me on it. They're like, no, it makes perfect sense. And I'm like, well, I don't know if it does, but
there'll be a debate.
Yeah, but no, so that's one thing that everyone loves. That I'm just kind of like, wait.
There was one we talked about this in the development too. There's one movie that everyone loved that I just did not was Joker when it came out. The Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
We talked about it in the preseason.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I just said that. But
yes,
that's where I first learned your term for a shit in the salad.
Yeah,
was the whole subway scene. But I went back and I'm like, I haven't rewatched it, but I should. And I'm like, it wasn't just that. There was so much of that movie that was just bad. And I didn't get it. I didn't get why I didn't get the hype. I loved the fact that a rated R movie, it was the first rated R movie to make $1 billion or something like that. It was some.
I know it did do a lot of that. Yeah.
Thing was super low budget, super high yield. Love that. I mean, statistically, it's a great movie because it made a shit zillion dollars.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't like it. And yeah.
Here's my story with it. The first time I watched it, I was just, like you said with Interstellar. It was just one of those days I was super tired. I kept dozing off.
Joker?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I watched it again, and I'm pretty sure I stayed awake the whole time. It's been a while, so I don't remember every bit and piece. But I would say I kind of agree with you. I think it was in our preseason episode. I think I said I thought as a movie by itself, it was a very interesting take on a guy losing his mind.
Yeah.
But as a Joker movie, it didn't land for me.
Okay. See, I thought it was one of the greatest potentials of our time, probably. An origin story for the Joker and the direction they took it of this guy
Yeah.
with a mental disability where he laughs like uncontrollably. I was so on board and I was so stoked and I was ready. And I think they just phoned it in. They thought that they could just ride this out. It's 70s era Joker origin story. We're just going to ride this out because mental health is a big thing and no one ever talks about it except for all those billions of movies that came before it. But it's topical. It's topical. It's the thing. Let's talk about it. They rode that boat the whole way.
And that's I think we're kind of in agreement, just saying different words.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because I was fine with the mental health thing, especially the fucking Joker. Like, if any of the villains,
good.
I mean, all the villains.
So
but,
good.
And you have an actor like Joaquin Phoenix who...
Amazing.
And he did a great job with it.
Yeah.
But the way it was written in the story, and that's where I think I enjoyed the movie if it was just like, hey, this is... I forgot the name in the movie, but this is Joe, and this is his story about how he lost his mind because of society.
Yeah.
I'm on board. Fuck the man. But turning it into a Joker movie, I think in our preseason episode 2, I mentioned this, like, at the end of that movie, I'm like, this is the fucking Joker?
Right?
Criminal mastermind?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think
there was like no way.
Yeah, and like I think we mentioned too, like if they did somehow make a sequel that connected this wiener of a man.
Yeah.
Because he was a little fucking puny guy. Like he wasn't gonna win a fist fight.
No, he was.
And granted, the Joker doesn't win a lot of fist fights. He's a mastermind, but still, like he wasn't a smart genius planner of this stuff.
Yeah.
And so how does this guy become the Joker was my question at the end. I was like, I don't see this.
I want to rewatch it and then have a whole episode talking about how horrible I like that movie. I might do a 5-minute rant on just the Joker.
Do it.
Or it might turn into 10 minutes because there's so much about that movie that pissed me off. I mean, I know the one thing I keep going back to is that they made it so that they wanted to raise awareness about mental illness and problems and what is at stake with people who suffer this way and what happens when we cut them off. But the way they went about it was so wrong, I think, that it really just kind of painted the picture of all these people who are mentally ill are potentially murderous psychopaths. And
I see what you mean.
And it was so done so wrong. They kind of removed a lot of sympathy from that, in my opinion.
I think you're making a point. I would disagree. I would say I half disagree because I think using the mental health, especially for the Joker, was good. But I agree with you that maybe they could have made it a little more subtle.
I wish they would have picked a lane. Like, are we doing a sympathy movie about the mentally ill, or are we doing a origin story of the Joker where he's psycho and that's what happens?
And you know what? We're gonna, as we always do, we're gonna tangent because I was actually just watching. So in my commute, which is normally about 25 to 30 minutes, I'll just like listen to a bunch of shit. I started listening to Bill Burr, the comic. Just to clarify,
his podcast, the Monday Morning Podcast.
I don't think it's a podcast. I clicked on something and then it just started playing like interviews he's been in.
Okay.
And I think he was like on Conan or one of the talk shows, and he started talking about, I forgot how it transitioned because he's very kind of like us. He'll start talking about one thing and then he just goes off on a flying tangent. He's in
his own head and like with no explanation, and you're just kind of like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. So it was one of those, but he started talking about Monster.
Okay.
The movie Monster.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know?
I think I know this one.
So I'm not sure if it was actually like him using his comic bits or if it was just him ranting. Either way, it was great. But he starts talking about how, like, in real life, this woman was a fucking psycho who killed people. And I remember I had the same reaction, not knowing who this woman was. I watched that movie and I was like, we are feeling bad for a murderer.
Yeah.
At the end of this movie, I've only watched it once, but I remember there was a scene where, like, she kills the guys and she's on the run, and her lover has like the cops at her house.
This is Monster with Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to
Christine
clarify.
Ricci. Yeah. And Charlize Theron is like on the phone with her, and she realizes that the cops are there. So she kind of gives the line, like, I forgot what she says, but she makes it clear that the lover didn't know anything about this. It was just all her, without saying it blatantly, like, oh, she was there, but I'm trying to cover for her. She started saying things to cover her lover, and the cops all heard it. And I'm like, this is extremely uncomfortable because this is a woman who murdered people violently, and I'm sitting here feeling bad for her.
Yeah.
And so there is a trend that this is what I was getting to, is that there is this like trend in cinema where it's like, let's see the bad guy's point of view. Mm-hmm. And some of them did it right. Like, I haven't seen it, but I know the story of Wicked, where they'll like take her and you see her point of view, like how she's a victim, and then like Venom, which Venom's an anti-hero, but fine. And then Joker.
Yeah.
And then I haven't watched yet, but Cruella de Vil.
Yeah.
And they're like taking these, and I'm like, why are we trying to empathize with these people?
That's an interesting point. I was recently coming to that same conclusion. It was like, why is there a sudden push to see it from the other side? What happened to just having a bad guy?
Yeah, and check it. I'm okay with the bad guy being the main character or the protagonist, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
For instance, have you seen the movie? I can't. What's his goddamn name? Dances with Wolves. Who's Kevin Costner?
Kevin Costner.
I think it was called like Mr. Jones or
Mr. Brooks.
Mr. Brooks.
I love that movie.
So that movie.
Yeah.
Main character
Yeah.
is clearly the bad guy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't shy away of being the bad guy.
No.
He's the bad guy.
Yes.
So why can't you make a movie where this person is a piece of shit?
Yeah.
And they're still the bad guy. They're still the villain.
No, but I think it's this culturally, we kind of have to blur the lines. We have to say that it's not always that simple. And it's like, no, sometimes it is. Sometimes they're just bad. And
yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't mind, and this is going to sound weird, like, when it's Mr. Brooks, where it's just a completely new made-up character, cool. But with, like, I would say established characters or even real people, like, I don't want to see a movie where I suddenly feel bad for O.J. Simpson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Granted, that hasn't been done yet.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want to see a movie where I'm suddenly feeling bad for O.J. Simpson while he's running in the back of his Bronco crying.
Did you see the O.J. Simpson, the People versus O.J. that
I
series?
didn't see it.
Okay, that I thought did a great way of showing his perspective without fostering sympathy.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
like this was where he was at in this point, and this was his perspective.
I heard that series is very good at being objective.
It's one of my favorite series.
Well, even another example, kind of, I mean, very different. We Were Soldiers, to an extent, shows the Vietnamese side of that battle.
Oh yeah,
and you're not sympathizing with them and thinking they're the good people.
No, but yeah.
I mean, you do kind of connect with the one guy who had his journal,
right?
But it's just showing their perspective on the battle.
Yeah,
and so that's fine. But like Joker takes a historically villainous character who does horrible, awful shit to people.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, yeah, I see it. I get it. It's like, what?
There was this, I mean, you're always going to root for the bad guy like Heath Ledger did in Dark Knight. It's like, he did nothing redeeming, but we loved him. Heath Ledger.
Well, I would say Joker. You loved him because he was so good at it.
Yeah.
But you don't love the guy.
Correct.
Like the character. You're not
Now, when Oliver Stone came out with Natural Born Killers, that was his whole commentary, is that our love of the bad guy. And it's fucked up. You have these people that are on this murderous rampage and they have fans, and that's crazy. I think people today watched Natural Born Killers, decided they're going to do the same thing, but decided to add like more reason to it.
Okay, a little more justification.
When it really doesn't belong there. And that was
another example of all this. So one of my most favorite movies, kind of a guilty pleasure, but at the same time, I'm like, fuck it, it's an amazing movie.
Yeah.
Face Off.
Yeah, okay, yeah, great
I
movie.
can almost quote most of that movie.
Great movie.
I think it was one of the first movies I snuck into in the theater.
Love it.
I think it was 97, yeah. So I love that movie. Castor Troy, to this day, is my favorite villain of all time.
Yeah.
Even like little pieces of work that I write, I'll still use Castor.
Yeah.
Because I knew who Castor and Pollux were before I knew anything about Greek mythology.
Wow, okay.
Because of that movie.
Yeah.
It was later when I was like, oh, I get it now.
It's been done.
Yeah, but so even like sometimes when I write stories or like fiction, we both kind of write, I'll use the name Castor, and if somebody reads it, they're like, oh, is there a Pollux? And I'm like, no, fuck Pollux. Like, Pollux sucked in that movie. Yeah, Pollux was a prick. Like, fuck sucked. I'm all about Castor. And anyway, but like, so I loved that character. I thought he was so funny. I thought he was so cool.
Yeah.
But I would not want to be friends with the guy.
Right. Yeah.
I would not want to know him or be a part of his life. But as a viewer, I'm like, yeah, this guy's really cool. And in the movie, I wasn't even rooting for him. I just thought he was so entertaining. But so that's where the Joker comes in. And I didn't see Cruella, but even Venom to an extent, like where you're feeling bad now for these guys. I'm all good with villain movies.
Yeah.
But not to where we're like taking their side.
No, it's making the villain a good guy. And that's not what we want. We want the villain to be the villain. It's kind of that old, the classic warrior reverence of their enemy. It's that kind of, that mutual respect. I like you because you're my enemy. And, I don't want to be your friend, but I like you as my enemy. It's a weird kind of fucked up thing.
Yeah. And so now, like, I just felt like uncomfortable after Monster where I wanted to hug her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Joker, I just wanted to be like, oh man, it's all right. I feel you.
It's okay,
like,
Joker. And
yeah, and I think in our preseason episode, I said too, like, that there's gonna be these fucked up dudes who are like, yeah, Not I enjoyed this movie for what it was. It's like, yeah, that's me. I get it.
I'm not so worried about that.
I wasn't like worried where I was like locking my doors extra tight.
Yeah, and they also shouldn't play violent video games and all that. Yeah.
Sure. But no, yeah, I like the trend of making the villain the main character.
Yeah.
I don't like the trend of humanizing pieces of shit.
Yeah, I mean,
guess that makes sense.
I love a different perspective, but don't try to make me have the same perspective, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
And I think Mr. Brooks did that well.
Yeah. Mr. Brooks, a great example of that. It's like that this was his perspective. It's still fucked up, but look at it. I mean, and it's like, oh, I do not like this. I definitely do not like this.
And they never say like, but you feel bad for him, right? He's a victim. Like,
Right.
no, this guy's a psychopath.
No, yeah. I just watched Gone Girl last night for the first time. We talked about this before, like I'm telling you for the first time, but it kind of goes into that too. I loved the way the script flips, and spoiler, like I'll wave when I'm done talking about it, because if you haven't seen it, go see it. But starting now, I loved how the script flips, and you start rooting for one, and then the other, and then the other, and then you're kind of like not sure.
It was very ambivalent.
The wife or the husband who you're actually rooting for, and then you see both her perspectives, and by the end you're like, oh, that one's the fucked up one. Okay, God, I see her perspective. Don't like it, but holy shit, kind of.
So you think Affleck was the fucked up one?
No, she was the fucked up one.
Oh, because you said her. I was like, okay, I misunderstood what you said.
No, sorry. Oh, no.
Okay.
She was the very fucked up one, and
Yes.
they made that blatantly clear. Poor
Okay,
Neil Patrick Harris. I watched that with my wife, and we're sitting on the couch watching, and that whole scene. I'm like, remember going into any scenes of intimacy, I'm always like, okay, well, all right. But the way they already set it up, it was so weird and just like, it was weird, but you were with it, and you're like, what's going on? And then boom, and then I'll wave, then we're gonna start talking about it. But it blew my mind. So
yeah, that's a good movie of showing a villain, showing the reasoning.
Yeah.
I guess you would say the difference between sympathy and empathy.
Yes. Yeah.
To where you sympathize with them, like, okay, that's a shitty situation,
Right.
but you're like, but I don't get why you do that.
There's a philosophy that you can always sympathize with someone, but you'll never be able to empathize with someone, because you'll
Sure.
never actually wear their shoes. And I think it's a term that's overused as being an empath.
Yeah.
Someone who gets it more than other people might. And I think it's just my wanting to be grammatically correct. I think it's more a sympath. You sympathize.
Well, I
more
think
than-
the term empath has been abused.
Yeah.
Because I'll say it, roll your eyes all you want. I feel like I'm an empath, but then I hear people like, I'm such an empath because like this person was suffering and then I suffered with them and so blah blah blah. And I'm like, or you're just dramatic.
I think people take the term empath to mean
Sympathy, like you feel bad for someone.
No, it's I want to know their perspective, and I want to feel what they're going through before I judge them. I think people use that as the definition for an empath. I call that just being a decent person.
But I think the term itself, empathy, is sympathy is feeling bad for someone, sorry for someone, or where empathy is I'm understanding them.
Okay, yeah.
And maybe I'm not an empath. That's why even when I say it out loud, I like roll my eyes at myself. But like I do like when it's way off topic now, but when I see somebody acting shitty, granted I fucking get so irritated by just shitty people. I think the real war in America is the good people versus the shitty people. I don't care where you are politically.
Yeah.
But like when I see it, I actively, subconsciously or not, try to, okay, why are they doing this?
Right.
Where are they coming from?
Right.
And sometimes it bums me out when I do start to understand.
Yeah.
And it bums me out.
See, I will talk shit about theater people all day long. But one thing I do accredit theater people is because it is their hobby, their business, their however degree they use theater for. It's their business to observe and understand people so that way they can portray it.
Yeah.
Whether if it's at its pure basis form, I want to portray this person, so I need to understand how they work. But theater people fosters a lot of just naturally observant, emotionally capable people to understand how people feel and where they come from and stuff like, because they build a history on that. So I'll give you that. As a theater person, I can understand.
But I will agree with you to where I've seen people I used to do theater with, tons of them, where they say like, as an empath, and I'm like, you're a cold bitch. I'm not gonna say the person's name. I'm thinking of someone specific in my brain. You don't even know him, but like
him. Okay.
I meant Noam like EM, Noam. It's a chick. But I know dudes like this too, but this particular one's a chick. And to where like after college, we didn't really talk anymore just because, you know, you go your separate ways.
Yeah.
And then on Instagram and shit, like they were like, as an empath, like this and that. And I'm like, you were a cold-hearted bitch.
Yeah.
To where like, fine, be a cold-hearted bitch. A lot of theater people are.
Yeah.
But don't sit here now and pretend that you are some understanding, emotionally just invested person. Because I do think that sometimes it sucks to be empathetic because then now you're burdening yourself with this irritation.
There are people that I would call genuine empaths who literally feel the pain that people are going through. Not just understand it, not just see where they're coming from, but feel the pain and cry for people that they have no reason to cry for. And it's like, wow, okay, wow.
Yeah, but then other people are just like, I remember I read a conversation. It was actually a friend of mine who screenshotted a conversation she had with this person.
Dumb.
And the reason why this person refused to help her was because I'm an empath, and because of my emotional response, I can't help you for my own good. Because if I help you, it's just going to hurt me. And I was like, or you're just a piece of shit who doesn't, not a piece of shit, but you just don't want to help.
Yeah.
So you're lying about being an empath.
Yeah.
Because if you were a true empath, you would want to help, which I think there is, in a different conversation, a toxic side of being an empath. If you do want to help too much, it could be toxic. But this person was clearly just bullshitting.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was that she needed help with.
To say, like, I don't want to help, but I'm still a good person. Here's why.
I don't want to look like an asshole.
Yeah.
So the reason why I'm not helping you,
it's
because helping you I forgot what it was, but helping you get a spare tire might be too burdensome to me.
Oh, brother. Yeah. Anytime I post it says, as an empath, scroll.
No, absolutely, absolutely, and that's where like
I'm not racist, but scroll.
But it's one of those things like even like when people are like, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual.
Oh God,
I do feel like I fit that, but I'm never gonna say it out loud.
No, okay, that's the thing too. Is like
because that is such a trope now that I'm like, I don't want to be one of those people.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about saying I'm an empath because like I'm like, oh, am I like you? Am I like this person?
There's the fear of labels too. I think that plays into that. Like people are so desperate to be different and not a label. And it's like, dude, embrace your labels. You're fine.
No, I'm not one of those people.
Yeah, it's fine. It's like I would like, unless I'm wrong, you're more an agnostic kind of person. You don't have like a defined. You're probably like a lot of very clear thinkers that think something as vast as a maker of what we know as reality is beyond our even comprehension to put into human logic how to explain it. So why the hell would I follow a human-made religion? That doesn't make sense to me.
There's a lot of that.
And that is, in my opinion, an agnostic person. And I think people are so paranoid about being a label and being grouped in with all the other labels. And I'm like, just call yourself that.
The way I look at it is if I was in the mafia, this is a weird comparison, but I love the comparison.
I love it. It's great.
If I was in the mafia and I was sitting across the table with some people and I'm talking to them and I'm first time I'm meeting them, and this other person across the table who I kind of have mixed feelings about, they're like, yeah, so hey, I'm in the mafia. I'd be like,
are you?
You know what I mean? I'm like,
now look, I'm not a cop, but
you know what I'm saying though? I'm like, so you're in the mob. Because then I'm like, I'm in the mob, but I'm not sitting here talking about how I'm in the mob.
Yeah.
So are you in the mob?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel the same thing. Where like I said, by definition, I feel like I'm an empath.
Yeah.
But then when someone's like, as an empath, I just feel I'm like,
no, you're not.
I'm like, as an empath, you don't talk about being an empath. Because you don't, as an empath who wants to understand people, you're not going to throw that in their faces. Like, so that's where I just hear that. I'm like, are you? Yeah. Like when someone's like, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual and I'm a Virgo. I'm like, no, you're not. You're not spiritual. You just believe in dumb shit in the sky.
I forget the philosopher who said, if you don't believe in God, it's not that you don't believe in anything; it's that you'll believe in anything. Or it's not that you believe in nothing; it's that you'll believe in anything. If you don't believe in God, you'll believe in anything. And it's that kind of like I've come to find that people who are militantly against religion tend to be extremely into their signs and Virgos and Capricorns.
Sometimes,
it's pretty interesting.
Which I'm not. I think most of the people, our audience of 7 probably knows our birthdays.
Yeah.
But for those who don't, I have a joke to where if I'm talking to people, I will give at least 4 or 5 different signs before I'll tell mine. Oh. Because my family, I know their signs just growing up with them, that I know like this date has this sign, this date has this sign. Right. So if someone's like, what's your sign? I'd be like, oh, my sign is October 8th. I'm a Libra. Mm. And they're like, okay, that checks out. because that's the right date.
Yeah.
And they're like, you are a Libra. And I'm like, bitch. Leo, August 1st. That's my real sign. Such a Leo thing to do, Mike.
That's funny.
Really? And then like I said, I'll change it 5 times.
Yeah. I love those personality things. They're great. They're great.
There was, so it's a friend of the show, was on a podcast called Simpin' After Midnight or Simpin' at Night. I forgot what it's called. I haven't really watched the full episode, but I watched like the minute snippets on like Instagram.
Nice.
I remember
we should do that.
We should.
Maybe.
Soon, if I have the motivation.
It's fucking work, man.
I know, it's a lot more to do. Anyway, in one of their snippets, they were talking, and there's if they watch this, they're not going to be happy with me.
Oh yeah, you're in deep water.
If they watch this. But it's very much like, I'm a feminist, but like then there's like those feminists where I'm like, Jesus Christ. And like I'm saying, I'm a feminist.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like I'm pro gun, but then I'll talk to a gun nut and I'm like, fuck. Like who? You know what I mean? Like, and so I'm a feminist, but then like I'll listen to some of the things they
Mike, I voted for Trump. I get it.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, no,
I
exactly. And yes, exactly. And so this one thing there, the little snippet I watched, they were like, yeah, so anytime I talk to a guy and I ask what his sign is, and he's like, oh, you believe in astrology? And they're both like, oh, no, he doesn't believe in astrology. Oh, he's out the door. And I'm like, whoa. Oh, that's your stance. Yeah. And you want me to take you seriously.
It's the closed-minded already of it. That's my first reaction. Is the closed-mindedness of it.
The closed-mindedness of it, and also...
But then also, what the fuck?
Like, even as a kid, I feel like reading the horoscopes in the newspaper was fun. I mean, it was fun. But at the end of the day, the horoscope wasn't going to determine how I lived my day.
You ever just read the wrong horoscope on purpose? And,
apply it?
So me.
Yeah. You're going to make a decision today that it's going to change the rest of your day. Oh, okay. It's fun. It's fun.
I've always joked about we should do an episode about the horoscopes, but
yeah,
we have so much to say. I think every episode we should mention the horoscope.
It's just dumb. Like, because even
it's just dumb.
Because even I remember I was reading about this when they talk about like the sky and everything. Even time travel would be fucked because like our solar system, yeah, it's like there's orbits, but the sun itself is moving, and the planets are just trailing behind it in orbit.
Yeah.
So in reality, like if you were gonna like go in time in the future for 3 years, in reality, if you stopped at this point, 3 years later, like you're just in space.
Yeah.
In reality.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, like we're not in the same position in the universe we were 10 years ago. So you think that being born on this day every year dictates your personality?
No, I've said it in an earlier episode, and I'll keep saying it till everyone believes it. I believe that when two people have a certain personalities, that based on the weather, they decide like banging or having a kid. Based on the time of year, they're more likely to have a kid at this point. So those two personalities are more likely to do that, and those two personalities will result in this particular kind of raising a kid. That makes more sense.
It does. And I'm not saying I agree with you, but at least in that case, there's a study. Like you could actually research that.
Tangible little...
Like, okay, people
have a control.
People who have kids in this time,
right.
Let's evaluate their lives.
So we got a guy that hates the heat. So he's probably not going to want to do some intimate banging during the summer. And we have a wife who loves fall, or autumn, or all that kind of stuff. So as the summer's getting to like waning or whatever, and it's starting to get cooler. Oh, also that's autumn. Okay, so they're both just in great moods. Okay, so you take that personality type and the fall personality type, and what are they most likely to raise a kid as? That makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that would be if you're banging in like October.
Yeah,
that would be like April or May.
Okay,
or I think April.
Hold on, October. November,
May. We should be better at
July,
this.
Right? June, July.
Sure.
Okay.
I was just guessing.
Oh my god. We're not going to count it out. Anyway, continue. Yeah. Whatever that sign is.
Yes.
Turns out their parents like love autumn. They
at least you could maybe make an argument.
Yeah, and then a person who is raised by parents who love autumn probably hates autumn because their parents talk about it all the goddamn time.
Especially if you're born in the spring. Yeah.
Exactly. So they're spring babies, and they're yeah. So we're on to something here.
No, yeah. At least even if it's right or wrong, you can make like a hypothesis and research it, and not simply what would the stars look like?
Yeah.
Oh, Mitch, you're stubborn because the stars were shaped in a unicorn.
You know what's the funniest shit in the world to think about? Psychology majors that believe horoscopes.
Yeah. I remember one time a guy said I was being borderline racist, but I don't think I was. I said I would judge you more based on like your nationality than I would based on when you're born. Because for instance, and I'm not, without making a general statement, every Russian person I've met has been an asshole.
Wow. Okay.
I'm not saying all Russians are assholes.
No. Yeah.
But the 3 I've met, assholes.
So based on your data that you've
my heavily researched
your
study,
data, 3 for 3, that's 100%.
100%. That sample size matters.
So there you go.
Or certain cultures, for instance.
Yeah.
New York City.
Okay. Yeah.
If you're raised up in New York City, you're most likely. I remember I was reading about this. More likely to be blunt. More likely to be to the point. More likely to. Well, I'm repeating myself, but like just not hold back, like not just not rude, just to the point. Right. Boom. Whereas like if you're born in the South, you're probably more likely to be hospitable. Come on in, have some food.
Probably more religious.
Probably more religious. If you are if you were born in, I'm trying to think of the country. It's blanking on me. Canada. You are just super apologetic.
You love maple syrup so much.
Much.
No, but yeah, that's a great like topic. Is like the difference between race and nationality. Like because you
or just culture where you're born.
The difference between a Southern Californian and a Northern Californian. That's just in one state, in one country. It's like there's a huge personality difference, and you're allowed, I think, to make assumptions about someone based on where they grew up.
I always say like, when you think culture is not just race or whatever. Because you could be, sure, there's American, even America, there's American culture, things you could classify as strictly American. There's things you could classify as strictly Californian.
Yeah.
Northern and Southern California, absolutely.
Yeah.
LA versus San Diego, different cultures. Culture breaks down to so many different things.
Yeah.
To where like I would, if someone broke down me, I don't really fit because like I'm not your typical Southern California guy. I think I told you in college, a lot of people guessed I was from Chicago for some reason.
Yeah, I can see that.
But generally speaking, I would be a Caucasian American in Southern California, raised as a Christian, white. I already said that.
Probably went to college.
Like there's all these things that with the checklist, you could probably guess.
Yeah, exactly.
If you look at my interests, what I'm into, like those different cultures, you could probably guess my personality. On top of that, and this is where I think it was the borderline racism, I had a few friends in early college who were El Salvadorian, like a good amount.
Nice.
All of them had tempers.
Really?
All of them. And I kind of made a comment one time, like, is this like an El Salvadorian thing? And one of them was like, yeah, kind of. And so I brought that up in a conversation one time about like signs and horoscopes. And I was like, I would believe if I met someone, they said, I'm El Salvadorian.
Wow.
That they have a temper more than I would believe that a Taurus is stubborn.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Because it's a culture.
Yeah.
You know, it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Irish people have certain aspects about them.
I love flipping the script on people when they say, what's your lineage? Where are your ancestors from? Like, Irish, German, Lithuanian, actually, blah, blah, blah. And people say, oh, you're Irish. You must really have like a kind of this and this, a predilection, is that the word? A tendency to be this way.
Yeah, sure.
Irish, oh, you like to drink? Something. And I love turning around. It's like, wow, that's racist, isn't that? That's pretty racist. And they're always like, because I play sarcasm really well, and people usually think I'm being serious. Sure. But I'll be like, that's kind of racist. And they're like, what? Because it's just from my family's from Ireland. They think immediately I'm this and this and this. And they're like, no, I'm saying that they have it. Oh, so you're saying that all of them from Ireland are this way. Everyone. So no matter how many generations I've lived here, I love doing that. And I think lineage is important. You should know where you're from. But to assume you're a certain way because of your ancestors, I think is dumb.
Well, I would agree with the ancestry, but I think what I'm saying is mainly culture-y.
Yeah, no,
culture-y. But like, if someone came from Italy, if like a really handsome guy comes from Italy, I'd be like, stay away from my fiance. I don't need to know anything about you. Yeah, if you are handsome and you're from Italy, no, thank you. Stay the fuck away from my lady.
Oh, honey, there's this new guy at our work. He just immigrated from Italy. Like, fuck.
Really handsome? Quit your job. Fuck. Quit your job.
It's me or your job, man.
At the same time, if an older woman from Italy came and she's like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "Can you cook us dinner?"
Seriously, like, yeah, can you cook?
Can you cook us dinner? Like, I'm not asking, can you cook? I'm saying, can you come cook us dinner? because Italy food is a big thing.
Yeah.
So some say culture, like the whole. So my fiance, she's Jewish, and there are certain Jewish stereotypes, which I'm sorry, are just fucking true. I'm not even talking about negative ones. Hold on.
No,
I'm not talking about.
I hear it's that cultural kind of thing. That's
Yeah, but like
we grew up in Southern California. Let's bring it back into our court. We're from. Sorry, do you have more to talk
well, so
about
for the Jew thing,
the Jews?
so her mom is very much like, have you eaten? And this is not just a Jewish thing. There's a lot of different cultures, but
Right, but it's a pretty
have
big-
you eaten?
Yeah.
Have you eaten? Mike, are you hungry? Hold on. I'm like, no, I'm fine. Hold on. I want to make sure you're fed. I'm fed. Please don't. She's like, hold on. I can cook hot dogs.
Do you think there's a disproportionate amount of affection paid to the men in the family than the women?
Maybe. She when we go over there, she does make sure I'm more than
My grandma, her parents are Lithuanian immigrants, and there was a huge emphasis on all the dudes in their family. So that was always like grandma's kind of thing. Is like, oh, the son.
Sure.
Oh, daughter too. Yeah, but the son, kind of.
It could be, and I know, and it's not a bad thing. I know Italians are the same way, and there's other cultures, but like even my lady sometimes, if we have people over, you've been over, like she's very much like, hey, did you get some of this? Did you get some of that? Do you need a drink?
Oh, yeah. Okay,
so
yeah.
it's a very much a hospitable culture, and that's fine. I'm kind of like, get your own beer. You have legs, get a fucking beer. Unless I'm going.
Yeah.
But no, Southern California, you're saying.
Southern California that has its own stereotypes according to the rest of just the country. Even it's
Yeah.
like, oh, the Southern California, they're a bunch of sissies. They're doing, they're probably in theater, and we are.
Or surfers.
Yeah.
The
I love
surfers.
the beach and in and out, and I love the theater too. It's fine, but I fulfill a lot of my own stereotypes. But
Yeah, I think there's some Southern California influence on me, but for the most part, like I said, in college, a lot of people didn't think I was from California at all. But there's always exceptions to the rule. But I think, generally speaking, the cultural aspect of someone's life, I think, is more influential. Like I said, if there was a checklist,
absolutely.
If you went down my checklist, every aspect about me, he's done
Yeah.
theater, he studied philosophy, he did this, he did that. You probably be like, okay, this is my guess on how he behaves on his
right, yeah.
like, and I would trust that more than what stars were in the sky the night he was born.
Yeah. I heard a more valid. You can tell a lot about a person based on what movie they know. Oh shit, and I blank on his name. That's great, great setup, Mitch.
Oh, Curry.
Tim Curry.
Yeah, Tim Curry.
Tim Curry. Yeah. You
No.
can tell a lot about a person based on what movie you know Tim Curry from. And
There's that one. I actually thought of. You can tell a lot about a person by where their mind goes when they hear the quote "Say my name."
oh, Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad,
Yeah.
American Pie,
Oh, okay.
Destiny's Child.
Say my name.
There's a lot. There's a lot
I
of.
didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
Wow.
there's a lot. I forgot how it came up, but I posted that one time, and a lot of people said Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
I think a few people said Destiny's Child, and there was other ones too.
Say my name. Wow. Cool.
Oh, I think someone said Neverending Story.
Oh.
I think it was like call my name or something, but say
Yeah.
my name.
What's my name?
And I trust.
Deadpool will be another one.
Yeah, and I trust that more than I trust
The horoscopes.
the horoscopes.
Yeah. It's astrology. Astrology.
Astrology.
Astronomy is the
actual study of stars.
Yeah, astrology is.
Which-
you know what? That's another thing. Fuck them for coming up with a term so similar to something legitimate and making me confused. I'm mad.
I feel like every astronomy professor makes it a point at the beginning of their class to point out.
So messed up. Why you have to? Ugh.
No, they point out that astrology is bullshit.
Oh, really? Oh, not to clarify the difference, but just
Yes, to clarify the difference, and then also to weed them out. I know.
You're auditing this class. Just
So
get out.
different conversation. My astronomy professor in college, UNLV, was by far one of my least favorite professors. I fucking hated that class because of him. I thought the study was fine because of him. Granted, that aside, the first class he did the whole like, okay, right off the bat, just so everyone's clear, we are not studying astrology. Because there is confusion, especially on the college level, unfortunately on the college level. But he's like, we're not studying that. Or before that, he did the whole pass out. Like, what are you, a Taurus? Okay, here you go. What are you, a Leo? Okay, here you go. He did that whole thing.
Oh, nice. And then they were all the same, or
Yeah. Or raise your hand if you think this matches you. And like 75% of people raise their hand. And he's like, I gave you all the same thing. And then that's when he said, just so you're aware, this is not an astrology class.
Brilliant.
Astrology is nothing but superstition. It's
Love
nothing substantive. And so stop that.
yeah. Love it. We need more of those people.
Yeah.
Sorry, those people.
What do you mean?
Anyway, yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah,
Bohemian Rhapsody is
it's a good one.
Maybe it's because I'm a certain sign that I don't like Bohemian Rhapsody.
It's so whatever you are. And then your Tyrannosaurus is in retrograde or whatever the fuck they say now, but they can't just live with that. They expand on it. It's amazing.
That I'm very tolerant of my whole, I'll say this again, my whole MO in life, the way I live my life, the way I judge people, the way I come to political decisions, and a lot of times, I don't care what you do with your life. I might disagree with it, I might agree with it, but do whatever makes you happy. If you're not trying to actively hurt someone, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
But the people who post Mercury's in retrograde, so I'm feeling down, I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Like, and
I'm gonna come to your house.
I love these. There are people I love to death that are so nice, so sweet, and they just all they want to do is hug you and make you feel better. And they post that, and I'm like, why are you making me hate you?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, just say you're in a bad mood. I have my fits of depression.
Sometimes shit just happens and there's no reason for it.
I think so. We talked. It would be 2 episodes now ago where I talked about the washer dryer, the pool. Like, my whole day was shit. I was depressed for like 2 days because of that day. Like, I was just in a bad mood.
Yeah.
I didn't say that my washer was in retrograde.
Should have though. That would have made more sense.
Yeah. But I didn't say like Mercury's in retrograde, so I'm feeling down or whatever the fuck they say. I was in a bad mood.
It's like maybe you didn't sleep last night. You didn't have breakfast. You're coming off of a caffeine high, and you're out of booze.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
And what is the term? I think it's confirmation bias. Might be it. Like the number. You see the number 23?
Yes.
I think confirmation bias was the term where he starts thinking he's seeing 23 everywhere.
You look for the signs,
but he's looking for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's like, if you're feeling down and you're like, why am I feeling down?
Let's see.
Oh,
that makes sense. Yeah,
Mercury's in retrograde.
Sense. Here's something that debunks horoscopes. It's not that. Let's see, but yeah.
Yeah. And so that's one thing. I love everyone, but when I see people posting that, like, because I think as we like, depending on the political liberal versus conservative, I tend to lean a little liberal, but that's when I'm like, fucking goddamn. I'm like, goddamn.
I will give this to the conservatives. You don't see a lot of conservatives.
You don't see a lot of.
We have that going for us.
You do see a lot. You don't see a lot of conservatives.
They tend to be. Well, I think it's because it's the religious bent.
You're right. But they're not retrograding with Mercury.
No, they're not.
No, they might be.
If you meet a religious person, they tend to lean more right. And if you meet someone who is atheistic, aka horoscope, I'm joking.
I don't even think atheists are. You're talking about the I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious.
Right. They tend to be more.
Yeah, because the people who I'm talking about are my very, very liberal leaning friends, where they're like, and they're all sweethearts, and I'm just like.
Yeah. You know, it warms my heart to think about like our listeners who we're describing them and they're mad that we're accurate.
Or they don't know. They're like, I don't like those people either, as they post about Mercury.
Or whatever other horseshittery like things you want to frame your life around. But
because I've made jokes on Facebook where I posted a meme or something and then someone will like it and be like, so true. And I'm like, did you not see your timeline?
It's not true, but
I'm like, did you not see what you just posted? It's kind of about you.
I did. I've love doing that. Like I'll post thinking of someone and post a meme, and then that someone will comment. It's like I hate when people do that.
Oh yeah. One of my favorite moments, and she actually owned it. But a friend of mine from college, I had posted something. This will be the last thing because we're way long now, especially on Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody. Still on Bohemian.
Yeah, still on Bohemian Rhapsody. No, but I had posted a written status saying like something like fucking wow. All these people, I think it was about college because UNLV, like the basketball team was doing well or something. And I was like, wow, all these people who went to UNLV are suddenly care about UNLV basketball if they're doing well. Because we all graduated already. And I was like, all these people fucking all about it. And a friend of mine from UNLV was like, I know, right? It's so silly. Like, suddenly people care because UNLV's won a game. And then a guy who we went to college with screenshotted his timeline to where above was my status and you could see her comment. And the next one was another guy we knew from college saying, go Rebels, like, get that win. Same chick commented, yeah, go Rebels.
Oh, wow.
And he was like,
hang on.
Are you actually agreeing with Mike? And she was like, okay, yeah, you got me. Like, she was good about it. She was like, all right, yeah, you got me.
That's cool.
But anyway.
So
So Bohemian Rhapsody.
Hey, if we've pissed any of you guys off, please tell us about it. We don't care. I mean, we'll listen, we'll read it, and we might read your comments. We'll definitely read your shitty comments on here. So if you feel like starting a fight, go ahead and leave a comment. We'll talk about it. Mm-hmm. It's a brave stance to take, but we'll stand by what we said. And if we're wrong, we'll admit we're wrong. But we're not wrong about horoscopes.
I'm not really.
We're not wrong about horoscopes.
Not horoscopes.
Not horoscopes. They are wrong. Sorry. Please, I'm begging you. If we are wrong about horoscopes, send us that study. I'm so
bring me peer-reviewed evidence.
Send me that proof. Please send me that proof. I will. If you send me proof of horoscopes and that they work and shit, we will make an episode of it. We will make it valid on here, and this will be. So please send us that.
I'm totally on board with that.
Yeah. On that note.
So I'm not expecting any messages from any of you because. All right. Anyway. Thanks for joining us for this wild ride.
It's not even a dare, like I dare you to do it. It's like, no, I would seriously love it. That would be amazing.
Yeah. I would love to change my mind on that.
Me too.
If only I would. I'm not.
I won't.
All right. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Mitch, good talk.
Yeah,
as always.
Yeah, you as well.
If you stuck to the end, I'm sorry.
We're doing our best here.
Yeah. And goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.